While holding my hand at my parents' dinner table, she said, "I'm still exploring my options." I smiled, understood, stood up mid-meal, and walked out as everyone frozen. Days later, a screenshot revealed why I'm 30M, still processing what happened last night. And I need to get this out before I second-guess myself into oblivion. I've been seeing Madison, 28F, for about 8 months. Not long enough to be talking marriage, but solid enough that I figured it was time for her to meet my parents properly. Not just a quick hello at a barbecue or a wave across a parking lot, an actual sit-down dinner at their place. My parents are traditional in the best way. They're the kind of people who remember your coffee order, who ask about that project you mentioned 3 months ago, who actually listen when you talk. When my sister Jenna brought her boyfriend home for the first time, my dad grilled steaks, and my mom set out the good china like it was a state dinner. That's just how they are. They care. So when I told them I was bringing Madison over, my mom got excited, started planning the menu, asking what Madison liked to eat, if she had any dietary restrictions. My dad cleaned the grill like he was preparing for a health inspection. They were treating this like it mattered because to them, it did. Madison seemed excited too. We'd talked about it for weeks. She asked what to wear, what wine to bring, if she should get flowers for my mom. Normal girlfriend stuff. When I picked her up that evening and she came out in this nice dress, not too formal, not too casual, just right, I remember thinking everything was falling into place. On the drive over, she was a little quiet. I asked if she was nervous. "A little," she admitted. "I want them to like me. They will. Just be yourself." She squeezed my hand. "Your parents are going to love me." The confidence in her voice should have registered as something, but at the time, it just felt like normal pre-meeting jitters wearing off. We pulled up to my parents' house and my mom was already at the door, wiping her hands on a dish towel, smiling wide. My dad was out back at the grill, doing his thing. Jenna was setting the table, giving me a knowing look that said, "Don't screw this up." Madison turned it on immediately. Complimented the garden, the house, how beautiful the neighborhood was. My mom ate it up. My dad came in from the grill and shook her hand, told her he'd heard a lot about her, the usual dad stuff. Everything felt good, normal, like we'd done this before. We sat down to eat and the table looked like something out of a magazine. My mom had gone all out, good plates, cloth napkins, candles, the whole thing. There were framed photos on the walls of me and Jenna as kids, pictures from family trips, the visual history of our lives on display. My parents were welcoming Madison into that history, showing her who we were. The food was incredible. My dad's steaks, my mom's roasted vegetables, this garlic bread that's basically family legend at this point. Madison raved about everything, laughed at my dad's terrible grill jokes, asked Jenna about her job. It was going so well that I started to relax. Then my mom asked the question, the one I should have anticipated but somehow didn't. "So you two have been together for a while now. Are you thinking about moving in together? Or is it still early for that?" It was such a mom question. Not invasive, not pushy, just curious. Wanting to know where things were headed because she cared about my life. Madison smiled, reached under the table and found my hand. Her fingers laced through mine in that familiar way, and I felt this little spark of hope that she was going to say something sweet, something that would make my mom's eyes light up and my dad nod approvingly. Instead, she said, "Your son's great, but I'm still exploring my options." The words hit the table like a record scratch. Everything stopped. My mom's fork froze halfway to her mouth. My dad's face went from relaxed to stone in about half a second. Jenna's eyes went so wide I thought they might actually fall out of her head. I felt my hand go numb in hers. Not because she was squeezing tight, but because my brain couldn't reconcile what I'd just heard with the fact that she was still holding on to me. Madison laughed. This light, breezy laugh like she'd made a joke about the weather. I mean, people date around, right? No pressure. Just being honest. She was still holding my hand. I've never felt anything quite like what happened in my head in that moment. It was like watching a building collapse in slow motion. All these months of dates and conversations and plans just crumbling into a pile of nothing. I pulled my hand back. Slowly. Stood up. "We should go." My voice came out steadier than I expected. My mom started to say something. I could see her mouth open, the concern flooding her eyes, but I shook my head slightly. Not now. Not here. My dad stayed quiet, but his jaw was tight. He was holding back, and I appreciated that. Jenna just stared at Madison like she'd grown a second head. I grabbed my jacket from the back of my chair, nodded at my parents with a look I hoped conveyed an apology, and walked toward the door. Madison followed, her heels clicking on the hardwood in the silence. The car ride back to her place was dead air at first. I kept my eyes on the road, hands at 10 and 2, focusing on literally anything except the fact that my girlfriend had just told my parents she was shopping around while holding my goddamn hand. Then she started talking. "Caleb, I didn't mean it like that. You know I didn't. Your parents they were so intense, and I felt like I was being interviewed, and I just panicked. It was a bad joke. You know I care about you." I said nothing. "Are you seriously going to be mad about this?" I was trying to be honest, transparent. "Isn't that what you always say you want? Open communication?" Still nothing. "Caleb, come on. You're being dramatic. Don't let one stupid comment ruin everything we've built." I pulled up to her apartment building, put the car in park, and finally looked at her. "You're free to explore now." She stared at me like I'd spoken in another language. "What? You said you were exploring your options, so go explore them." "You're breaking up with me? Over this? Over one sentence?" "I'm not breaking up with you over one sentence. I'm respecting what you just told my entire family." She got out, slammed the door hard enough that the car shook, and I watched her storm into her building. I drove home on autopilot, parked in my driveway and just sat there for maybe 20 minutes, staring at my steering wheel, trying to process what had just happened. My phone buzzed. A text from Madison. I almost didn't look. Almost just went inside and dealt with it in the morning. But something made me check. It was a screenshot, sent to me by mistake, obviously meant for someone else. A Notes app entry titled, "Options." 3 names, mine at the top. Next to my name, safe, stable, family money. I stared at that screen until my eyes burned. Then I screenshot it before she could unsend it. Then I turned off my phone and went inside. I sat on my couch in the dark for a long time. Not angry, not crying, just hollow. Like I'd been scooped out. Because here's what hit me. She hadn't slipped up at dinner. She hadn't panicked or made a bad joke. She'd shown me exactly what this was to her. An evaluation. A comparison. A fucking spreadsheet with my life reduced to 3 words. And the worst part? She'd done it while holding my hand. While sitting at my parents' table. While they were looking at her thinking she might be family someday. I don't know what I expected from that dinner, but it wasn't this. It wasn't finding out I was being auditioned for a role in my own relationship, and it sure as hell wasn't realizing she'd already been measuring my family's net worth before she even met them. I felt like an idiot for not seeing it sooner, but at least I saw it before it was too late. Update 1. The morning after, I woke up to my phone lighting up like a slot machine. Madison had sent me maybe 15 texts starting at 6:47 a.m. I didn't read them all at once. I couldn't. But the gist was clear. She was nervous, my parents intimidated her, she was trying to be real, and it came out wrong. I was throwing away something good over one sentence. Not a single mention of the options list. No acknowledgement that she'd accidentally shown me the spreadsheet version of our relationship. I let the messages sit there while I made coffee, tried to eat breakfast, failed at eating breakfast. My mind kept replaying the dinner, her hand in mine, those words coming out of her mouth, the look on my mom's face. Around noon, I finally responded, "Why do you have an options list?" The 3 dots appeared immediately, disappeared, appeared again. This went on for maybe 2 minutes. Then, "It's just girl talk. Everyone does it. It's not serious." I stared at that message. Everyone does it. Like having a ranked list of human beings you're evaluating was just standard operating procedure. "Then what was it?" I typed back. "Venting to friends. It doesn't mean anything. You going through my stuff is way more concerning than me having a private note." I almost laughed. She'd sent it to me, accidentally, sure, but she'd put my name in a document titled Options, and listed my assets like I was a real estate investment, and now I was the bad guy for seeing it. I didn't go through your stuff. You sent it to me. That was a mistake. And you're acting like it's some huge betrayal when it's literally just how girls process things. You're being controlling. There it was. Controlling. It's funny how that word gets weaponized. I'd asked one question, why am I on a list? And suddenly I was controlling. Not hurt, not confused, not wondering why the person I'd been building a future with had been ranking me against other men behind my back. Just controlling. I didn't respond after that. What was there to say? She'd already rewritten the narrative in her head where I was the villain for noticing what she'd done. Instead, I called my parents. I needed to apologize for how that night went, for bringing someone into their home who'd treated it like an audition she wasn't sure she wanted to pass. My mom answered on the second ring. Honey, hey mom. I just wanted to say I'm sorry about last night. I'm sorry you had to see that. Caleb, you don't have anything to apologize for. Are you okay? I wasn't, but I said, I'm fine. I just feel bad about how it went. My dad got on the line. They have one of those speakerphone setups in the kitchen. Son, I wanted to say something at that table, but I didn't want to make things worse for you. I know, Dad. I left because I didn't trust myself to stay calm. My mom was quiet for a second. Then, Caleb, there's something you should know. My stomach dropped. I could hear it in her voice. Something else had happened. Madison called me yesterday, said she wanted to smooth things over, explain what happened. I kept it polite, but then she texted me later. My mom sent me a screenshot. I opened it. Madison's text to my mom, sent the night of the dinner. I hope you don't judge me for what I said. I'm just careful about who I invest in. Can you tell me if Caleb's house is in his name or a family trust? I sat down on my couch, reading that message over and over. Each time, it got worse. She'd reached out to my mother, not to apologize, not to explain, to gather financial intelligence. Caleb, you still there? Yeah, I'm here. I didn't respond to her. I thought you should see it first. Thanks, Mom, for showing me, for keeping it polite. We love you, honey. You deserve better than this. After I hung up, I just sat there trying to piece together what I was looking at. The comment at dinner wasn't a nervous slip. It wasn't poor judgment under pressure. It was strategy. She'd evaluated me, run the numbers, checked if the assets were liquid enough to be worth her time. And when she felt confident in her position, she'd said the quiet part out loud at my parents' table, probably to test if I'd tolerate it. And when I didn't tolerate it, when I actually walked away, she'd gone straight to my mother to verify the information she needed to decide if I was worth chasing. I texted Madison, "We're done. I need my spare key back." Her response came so fast I know she was staring at her phone waiting. "We should talk in person. Don't do this over text. The key, Madison. I'm not giving it back until we talk face to face. You owe me that much." I laughed out loud in my empty apartment. I didn't owe her anything, not a conversation, not an explanation, and definitely not access to my home. I called my landlord, explained the situation, broke up with girlfriend, she won't return key, need locks changed. He was cool about it, said he'd have someone out that afternoon. My lease, my name, my decision. While I was waiting for the locksmith, Madison tried calling. I let it go to voicemail. She called 3 more times. Left one voicemail. "You're being childish. We need to talk about this like adults." Adults. Right. Because adults keep spreadsheets ranking their romantic options and text their boyfriend's mother about asset distribution. The locksmith came. New locks, new keys. He didn't ask questions, just did the work, and left. It felt good. One small piece of control back. That night, Madison posted an Instagram story, one of those quote graphics with a sunset background. Not everyone can handle an honest woman. Some men prefer comfortable lies over uncomfortable truths. I screenshotted it. Not because I wanted to use it against her, but because I was starting to see a pattern. She was building a narrative where she was the brave truth teller, and I was the insecure man who couldn't handle her authenticity. Then I got a DM from a mutual friend, someone I actually trust, who's known me for years. "Hey man, don't know if you've heard, but Madison's telling people you proposed and she turned you down." Just wanted to give you a heads up about what's going around." I stared at that message for a long time. I never proposed. Never even hinted at it. We'd talked about the future in vague terms, sure, but marriage? No. That was months away, minimum, and only if things kept going well. But that's the story she was selling. That I was the desperate one, the guy who rushed things and couldn't take no for an answer. And she was the empowered woman who had the strength to walk away. It was so perfectly inverted that I had to respect the audacity. I screenshotted that DM too. I was building a file at this point, not because I wanted to wage some public war, but because I had a feeling this wasn't over. And when she tried to twist the story even further, I wanted the truth ready to go. My friend sent a follow-up message. "For what it's worth, nobody who knows you actually believes it. But I thought you should know it's out there." I appreciated that. The people who mattered knew me. The people who didn't, well, they could believe whatever they wanted. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about that dinner table, about my mom's face when Madison said what she said, about how excited I'd been driving over there, thinking I was bringing home someone who mattered. And I kept thinking about that options list, about being reduced to 3 words: safe, stable, family money. The worst part wasn't even the words themselves. It was realizing that while I'd been all in, planning trips, meeting her friends, thinking about what our future looked like, she'd been hedging her bets, keeping score, comparing notes. I wasn't her boyfriend. I was her frontrunner, and the moment I stopped performing well enough, she'd already had backup options queued up. But here's what I realized lying there in the dark. I didn't want to be anyone's safe bet. I didn't want to be the guy someone settled for after exploring their options. I wanted to be chosen, clearly and completely, or not at all, and Madison had shown me exactly what I was to her. Now I just had to trust that information. Update 2. The mutual friend who told me about the proposal lie? Turns out Madison's been working overtime on the narrative. She's telling people I'm insecure, controlling, that my parents hate her because she's not rich enough, and that I trapped her into a relationship she wasn't ready for. None of that is true, but she's convincing. She's good at playing the victim. Then she escalated. She started listing things she thinks she's owed. Gifts I gave her, completely voluntary, by the way. Weekend trips we took, even furniture in my place that she claims she helped pick out. She's acting like she invested capital in a startup and wants her return. I stayed quiet publicly, didn't defend myself, didn't engage. But privately, I got organized. I saved everything. The options screenshot, her text to my mom about the trust, the DM about the fake proposal story, her messages calling me controlling for asking about the list. I wasn't planning to use it. I just wanted a clear record in case she tried to twist this into something legal or damaging. Last Friday, she showed up at my apartment unannounced. I saw her through the window before she knocked. She was dressed up, carrying coffee, like this was a romantic gesture and not a boundary violation. I didn't answer. She knocked 3 times, then started texting. "I know you're home, just open the door. We need to talk." I texted back, "No, we don't. Please leave. I left important things at your place. You can't just lock me out." I went through my apartment, found a phone charger, a sweatshirt, and a book. Texted her, "I'll box up your stuff and leave it with a friend. You can pick it up there." "This is ridiculous. You're being a child." I didn't respond. I boxed everything up, asked a mutual friend, someone neutral, if I could drop it off at their place for Madison to collect. They agreed. When I met the friend to hand over the box, Madison showed up too. I should have expected it. She came in crying, then flipped to anger when she saw I wasn't going to engage emotionally. "You're really throwing away the best thing you've ever had over this?" I handed the box to the friend, nodded at Madison, and turned to leave. "Caleb, wait." I didn't. The friend texted me later that night. "Hey man, I don't know if you knew this, but Madison's been seeing other people the whole time, at least 2 other guys. One of them thought they were exclusive. Just thought you should know." I sat with that for a while. It didn't hurt the way I thought it would. Mostly it just explained things. The options list wasn't hypothetical. She was actively keeping her options open. I wasn't the guy she was stringing along. I was one of the guys she was stringing along. And the kicker? She'd built this whole narrative where I was the insecure one, where I was overreacting, where I couldn't handle her honesty. But none of it was honest. It was calculated. She knew exactly what she was doing. I realized I wasn't angry at her anymore. I was just done. Final update. After I went completely silent, Madison left me alone for a while. No texts, no showing up, no mutual friends running interference. My life got quieter. I slept better. Started going to the gym consistently. Threw myself into work. My parents stopped bringing her up. They were just relieved I was out of it. Then, 3 days ago, I got a text from her. No excuses. I disrespected you. I'm sorry. Short, clean, no justifications. I didn't respond immediately, sat with it for a day. Then she followed up. I'd like to meet for closure. Just coffee. I won't take much of your time. Part of me wanted to ignore it. But another part, the part that wanted this chapter fully closed, figured one conversation wouldn't hurt. Public place, short, done. I agreed. We met at a coffee shop near her place. Midday, lots of people around. She showed up looking different, less performative. No makeup, hair pulled back, dressed like a normal person instead of someone trying to make a statement. She sat down, and before I could say anything, she started crying. I messed up. I know I did. I was scared of commitment, and I said that stupid thing at dinner because I didn't want to look desperate in front of your parents. I didn't want them to think I was trying to lock you down or whatever. I just listened. I know I hurt you, and I know I made it worse after. I wasn't thinking clearly. I was defensive and I lashed out and She wiped her eyes. Can we start over? Slow this time. I took a breath, pulled out my phone, opened my screenshots folder. Madison, you didn't just say it. You planned it. I turned the phone toward her, showed her the options note. Her name for me, safe, stable, family money. Her face changed. Then I showed her the text to my mom. Can you tell me if Caleb's house is in his name or a family trust? She sat back, didn't say anything for a long moment. So you've just been holding on to this, waiting to use it against me? I held on to it because I knew you'd try to rewrite what happened, and you did. So you're perfect. You've never made a mistake. No, but I'm not interviewing for my own relationship. I stood up, put a 10 on the table for my coffee. I hope you figure out what you actually want, Madison, but it's not going to be with me. I walked out. She didn't follow. That was it. No dramatic confrontation, no yelling, no closure speech. Just the truth, calmly delivered, and then I left.